There is a desert on Earth where it rains. Not occasionally, not rarely, but every single year. And when it does, something impossible appears. Thousands of blue lagoons form between endless white sand dunes. A desert filled with water. This is Lençóis Maranhenses, one of the most surreal landscapes on Earth. Located in northeastern Brazil, this vast region stretches for over 500 square kilometers. At first glance, it looks like a typical desert. Rolling sand dunes, endless white waves of sand, stretching to the horizon. But this is not a normal desert, because beneath the sand, something unexpected is happening. Every year, between January and June, heavy rains fall across the region. The water seeps into the ground, but it doesn't disappear. Instead, it collects between the dunes, forming crystal clear lagoons, bright blue, perfectly still, scattered across the landscape, like pieces of sky. From above, it looks unreal. White sand and blue water, a pattern that repeats endlessly. But how is this possible? How can a desert hold so much water? The answer lies beneath the surface. Unlike most deserts, Lençóis Maranhenses sits on a layer of impermeable rock. This means the water cannot drain away. So when it rains, the water gets trapped, held in place. Between the dunes, creating temporary lakes. That last for months, but they don't last forever. As the dry season begins, the sun slowly evaporates the water. The lagoons shrink, then disappear, leaving behind nothing but sand. And then, the cycle begins again. Rain, water, disappearance, over and over. A desert that transforms every single year. But there's something even more surprising. Life exists here. Fish, small, resilient fish, somehow survive in these temporary lagoons. When the water disappears, they don't die. Instead, they leave behind eggs, buried in the wet sand. And when the rains return, they hatch, a cycle of life, perfectly synchronized with the desert itself. It's almost unbelievable, a place that looks empty, but is full of hidden activity. And then there's the experience. Walking through Lençóis Maranhenses feels like stepping into another world. The sand is soft and bright, almost glowing under the sun. The sky stretches endlessly above. And between the dunes, you find water so clear, it reflects everything. No noise, no movement, just wine. And silence. Standing there, you begin to feel something strange, because nothing here fits together the way it should. Deserts are supposed to be dry. Water belongs somewhere else. But here, they exist together, perfectly balanced. And that's what makes this place so fascinating. It breaks expectations. It challenges what we think we know. Because sometimes, the most unusual places on Earth are not the most extreme, but the ones that don't follow the rules. Lençóis Maranhenses is not the hottest desert, not the driest, not the most dangerous, and yet it is one of the most unbelievable because it proves something simple. Nature doesn't always follow patterns. Sometimes it creates something entirely new, something that shouldn't exist, and yet it does. A desert filled with water, a place that changes with the seasons, a landscape that appears and disappears, and a reminder that even on our own planet, there are places that still feel impossible, places that look like they belong somewhere else, and places that make you stop and ask, how is this real? But there's something even more fascinating about Lençóis Maranhenses. The lagoons are never the same. Each year, their size changes, their shape changes, even their color can change, depending on the depth and the light. Some lagoons appear deep blue, others turn green. Some reflect the sky so perfectly, they seem invisible. And because the dunes are constantly moving, the locations of these lagoons shift as well. The wind reshapes the sand every single day, slowly but continuously. What was once a large lagoon might become smaller. What was once empty sand might suddenly hold water. It's a landscape that never stays the same. A place in motion, even when it looks completely still. And then there's the scale. From the ground, the dunes feel endless, each one rising and falling, like waves frozen in time. But from above, the true pattern reveals itself. Thousands of lagoons scattered across a sea of white sand. A natural design that feels almost too perfect to be real. It's not chaotic. It's not random. It feels intentional. But it isn't. It's the result of simple forces, rain, wind, and time, working together over and over again. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because something so simple can create something so extraordinary. Visitors who travel here often describe the same feeling: disorientation. Not because the place is dangerous, but because it's hard to understand. The horizon looks different. The reflections confuse your eyes. Distances become difficult to judge. And sometimes you can't tell where the land ends and the sky begins. It feels like walking through an illusion. And yet, everything is real. Every dune, every lagoon, every reflection. And then there's the silence. No cities, no traffic, no distractions. Just wind moving across the sand and water resting quietly between the dunes. It's a kind of silence that feels rare, almost unnatural in today's world. A place where time slows down, where movement feels distant, and where the outside world seems to disappear. But like everything here, that moment doesn't last. Because eventually, the dry season returns. The sun grows stronger. The water begins to fade. Day by day, the lagoons shrink. Edges recede. Colors dull. Until finally, they vanish completely, leaving behind nothing but sand. Endless, empty sand. As if the water was never there at all. If you arrived at the wrong time of year, you might never know what this place becomes. You would see only a desert and nothing more, which makes it even more incredible. Because the true nature of this place is hidden, revealed only at the right moment, for a limited time, and then gone again. It's a reminder that some of the most beautiful things on earth are temporary. They don't last forever. They appear, they change, they disappear, and maybe that's what makes them so special. Because you have to be there at the right time, to see them, to experience them, to understand them. Lençóis Maranhenses. What is not just a place, it's a cycle, a transformation that happens every year. A desert that becomes water, and water that becomes desert again, and standing in the middle of it, watching the sky reflect beneath your feet. One thought becomes impossible to ignore. This world is far more dynamic than we think, far more unpredictable, and far more beautiful than we ever expect. Because sometimes the most impossible places are not permanent. They exist only for a moment. And then, they disappear.